go over to the screen share, and then you'll just click on whatever screen you want to actually show the images in. And I gotta tell you, you never ever fail to impress. You do not disappoint. Moment's notice. All I gotta do is say your name, and you're ready to get up and going.
What can I say? I am eager to please.
That's what I like to hear from my men. I mean, my apprentices. I mean, all right.
All right, so is the screen share working?
So I'm seeing the Google page, which is fine if you want to just minimize the chats and turn the sound off. And then we can go from there.
Oh, I have to click share. I hadn't submitted. That's why I couldn't maximize the image.
There you go.
Hey, it's almost like I'm a pro.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're learning. I'm a little delirious, so bear with me, because who better to
That's
be
all right.
so with you. All right.
Delirious critique is a good critique.
I'm ready. Bring it on, baby. So same thing as level 4. You're going to tell me a little bit about the images and putting them together, but before we start going over your critique, what I want you to do is actually talk a little bit about your growth from level 4 until now and how that may have changed your perspective and which images you picked and why you picked the ones you did. Does that make sense?
Yes. Between level 4 and now, the one thing that I truly have noticed is that the images that I take that have the most impact have something living in them. Whether it be an animal or a person, people tend to have the biggest impact, but like the bears, the eagles, stuff like that, people really notice. The mountains, the landscapes, even if they're gorgeous, without something that we can reference as something alive that we can connect to, they just don't seem to resonate as much.
I want you to go after this is over, and I want you to add that to the record of brilliant eloquence. The ones that have the most impact have people in them.
Sure.
I think that's pretty profound. Why do you think that that is?
Well, I think people like to see themselves in the moment that the image was taken. They want to see, I could have been there, or oh man, look at that, crazy, because admittedly I go to crazy places, but what's a big block of ice versus a block of ice that someone is climbing? People can see the rock climbing and the activity as a person. But seeing just ice or just a glacier or just a mountain, I say just, but without having that scope and that frame of reference, it's just rock or it's just ice, so it doesn't mean as much, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. So tell me about this image then. Why is this your first pick?
This image, I could write books about this image. When I took this picture, it was one of those very candid moments. This was not staged or planned or anything. I was driving down the road after a photo shoot where I was actually on a glacier, and I came back, and none of the shoots from the glacier ended up being worth anything. And I saw this while we were stopped waiting at a stop sign. The ice in front of this place was completely, it was an ice skating rink. It was as slick as you can get. If you tried to stand on it, you would fall down. And this little girl was just out there ice skating in front. It just there was this moment of innocence that I saw. The fact that this is like that Era Helicopters that you can see up in the top right there. Era Helicopters is a company that it's a heli tour and heli skiing company that takes grown-ups to places that have ice to play on. And this little girl was doing so in the parking lot. And it was so slick and icy, no one could get to work. So, you have this little girl who's doing exactly what that company's goal and mission is, and none of the adults were willing to do it there because it wasn't in the mountains. And she just capitalized on the moment, and it just, in my eyes, I see like, it's kind of like if you could envision yourself in her place and somehow make that company your company, like wherever it is that you work, you shouldn't be ice skating in the parking lot at work. You should be at your job. You should be working. But she's finding the happiness in doing that. And we should all find happiness in playing where people think we should be working. Because playing is
I agree. That's pretty profound. You're earning extra points for that. Go give yourself 2 karma points when we're done this. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's everything I see in this image, and that's absolutely why this one's on the critique.
I love that message, and I feel like I've been beating that into all of your heads since day one. That's my entire mantra for life. Like, I play every day. I think mastery comes from the ability to play. And I love that you saw all that in this image, and I appreciate the irony of the juxtaposition of it. As far as an image goes, I saw this when you posted it before. You have a profound emotional attachment to it, and you're doing what I do, and because you know what it is and it's striking that feeling, you're considering it one of your best images, and I don't think that it is. But I love the concept of the photo. I think that this one would probably be stronger as a black and white, personally. And I think you know what it is, but the Era helicopters, like using the logo in it, you're always attracted to reading any kind of writing that's in an image. It's
sure
just one of those scientific things, but I wouldn't know the backstory of the fact that they actually fly people out to go play on ice, which is hysterical in this image. But that part of the story is lost unless you have that written down with the image and when we come across it. Like, it would work great as a blog post, but as a standalone image, the image doesn't tell that story.
I hadn't considered that.
There's a couple of little things like the drums and the jars and skids and stuff behind her, I think, are distracting. So I would have been really curious to see if this had been at a shallower depth of field, whether you did that in camera or in post, so that she was really the focus in the center of the image. But I do love the story, and I love that there's this innocence, and I love that where everybody else is like, icy parking lot, ruined day kind of thing, like, she's seeing the sense of wonder, and that's something that I think that so many of us lose as we get older. And it's one of the things that I find most charming and endearing about you, is that you have definitely not lost that. So I totally understand why this image is just striking all kinds of heart chords with you. I'm going to give it a commendable. I don't think that it reaches the potential of some of the other images that I've seen you post, not by a long shot, but I love that you love it, and I think for that reason alone, like, it would be a really good story image on your website or your blog that would tell the viewer everything they need to know, not only about the photograph, but about the artist that created it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So 2, you have a commendable. Next one. Awesome. Tell me about it.
This guy. I was at the Low River in Alaska, and the Low River during salmon spawning season hosts about 5,000 to 8,000 bald eagles in a 3-mile stretch. And typically there are between 15 and 20 per tree for quite a while, and that's not an exaggeration. This piece of driftwood was down on the shore, and all the other birds were out further away in the trees in the background. But I just walked down onto the beach and was kind of walking across the riverbank, and found this guy just standing there, so I decided it was time to have a little photo shoot and got him. He was there for about 30 seconds of me shooting like that before he took off. So I felt very, very blessed to get this image.
I love this shot. You're definitely, I think that a lot of your strength is in your wildlife photography and your landscape, more so than people.
Been saying that for a while, yeah.
It's not a hit on your portrait photography. It's a compliment to your wildlife photography. I think this is a very powerful image. You know, for America and that being our national bird, like this is the bird that you want as that national bird. You know, there's something very um, regal about him, almost like king of the sky in his whole positioning. And, you know, like as much as we think of facial expressions as a sort of human thing, like he's, you know, emitting a lot of emotional energy towards the viewer, which I think is very, very rare for people to be able to capture. And you did it very flawlessly here. I love the mountains behind him in the clouds. I love the shallow depth of field and that he's so prominent in the image. It's just really strong all the way around. And it may be my screen, but I lose just a little bit of the details of his feathers in like the underbelly. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the texture there. But that's really like that's it. That's all I got for you for critique. Like it's just a fantastic image. I could totally see this on walls in all kinds of different buildings or in a gallery. Like it's an outstanding image. So I'm going to give you an exemplary. I think this one would definitely make your portfolio right now.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm ready to move on?
Absolutely. Wait. Didn't you show me this one last critique?
Well, yeah. The post says any from any images or portfolios you've taken in the past.
All right. Brave.
If you wanted me to grab another one, I can.
No.
I wanted best 5, and I think this is one of my best 5.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it. Tell me what you think of it now. Has your opinion on it changed since the last critique? Let's talk about that.
It hasn't. I think that I had considered going back into to editing to just tweak a few things, but then I realized that looking at it, this is really exactly what it looked like when I saw it, and tweaking anything is just almost pointless. You know, it'd be silly to change anything on this image. I
agree. So, now remind me, what were you doing here when you got this image?
I was leading a small photo, like a walking, like a photo walk, kind of an expedition into a glacier field. And we turned a corner into this cave, and we heard something, and we looked up, and there was, you know, someone climbing up over the top. They were prepping to have a picnic on the very top of the glacier, and they had to get up to the top somehow.
This is such a killer image that really sets you apart in the fact that, like, who else has something like this in their portfolio?
Indeed.
It's like, oh, I was just wandering by and saw these people scaling these ice mountains, you know, just another typical day in the life of David.
Yeah, no big deal. That's what it is. What did you do before lunch?
Yeah, right? Exactly. I love that, though, and that's exactly how you should present it. Like, these are the things that will make you exceptionally coveted as a photographer and an artist, because they're very unique stories. And they're very unique experiences that most of us will never get to have, so we get to live vicariously through you because of that. And this image is very good at translating the grandeur of that moment and what it must have been like to be at the base of this thing, and how small, you know, we are in comparison to the magnitude of this. So yeah, I really, really love the power of that image. I think that it's really, really strong in the composition. You could not have asked Mother Nature to frame it better for you. You know, like it really suits, and it's giving false credit to you because you didn't design any of the ice or really compose the shot. You happened to be there, but sometimes that's all it is, and you got it. And the whole point of being an artist is the ability to see the image, and you saw it. And I think that is the mark of a great artist, and the difference between an artist and a photographer. So I'm pretty sure. What did I give you last time? Do you remember? Did I give you exemplary on this?
Give me 3 on this one.
Yeah, I see. I want to knock you down just for having it in twice, but I can't do it. I really love this image, and I think it's really powerful in your portfolio. So you're going to get a 3 again, but if you show it again in any of the other critiques, it's out. You're getting like a 0.
That's fine. Uh,
Okay.
this image is the one that kind of was the one that set me aside to realize that I needed more people or living things in my images.
Okay.
Because I put this image side by side on my computer of the exact same cave wall and opening after she had gotten through it and climbed out.
Mm-hmm.
And the one where there is no climber is very, very boring. And the image just completely fails. And literally the only difference between the two is that there's an ice climber in one of them. And this image is kind of the one that turned my perspective on that.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that because putting her there puts everything into perspective again about how minuscule we are in the course of the world, let alone the universe. Like that'll teach you a lot of respect real quick. And there's that element of adventure and of bravery and courage, and it looks fucking cold, and you can feel all of that in the image. And if you can get that kind of emotional connection with your viewer and the thing, whether it's oh my god I would never do that or oh my god I wish I could do that, either way they're having a reaction to it. That's what you want, and that's what makes it an exemplary image. So but I'm done talking about it now because we did it twice, so move on to the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I love this. Tell me about this one.
I was just leaving my apartment. I was on my way up. We were having a road trip up to the Arctic Circle. We wanted to catch the Northern Lights, and it was kind of out of season for him, so we had to go further north. So it was a 700-mile drive, but we were 5 miles from my apartment, and this is the scenery. This is the landscape about 5 miles from where I lived. And it was early morning, and we had the fog coming off the low river. That's the same river where you saw that eagle. So we had the fog coming in off the river, and I pulled the Jeep over, and I got out, and I was like, hold on a second, guys. And I set up, and I took the image. And this was the first one that in post I wanted to make it look more like a painting than a photo, and I think I started to get it, but it was my first attempt, so there's still some room for growth, but I like the way it came out.
I really like this image too, and you know, this is one of the things that's hard for me because I didn't pick for your portfolio. I picked for your profile when I picked you out of the Arcanum because I'm boudoir. I don't do landscapes, so. But I really loved your personality, and I wanted you, so I took you anyway. Things you love to hear from women. Hello, innuendo.
True.
But I did. I really loved what you were about as an artist, and I was really excited to see your growth in the Arcanum. So for me, looking at landscapes, not as a landscape photographer, what I'm always looking for is I want to be there. If I want to pin it to my places to go Pinterest board, it's a success as a landscape image, and this one definitely is. It's beautiful, and it makes you want to be there. There's a couple of little things. The shadows are really dark on the forefront of the mountains. I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more texture on either side of the ends going off the screen, and maybe just a little bit more along the bottom line of it.
Okay.
And maybe just a little bit more. I probably would have dodged and burned just a little bit some of the fog and the clouds lower in the hills, but that's really nitpicking at it for the sake of critique. Like it is a really beautiful image. Again, it's definitely one that I could see either hanging on the wall of a gallery or being one of the options for, you know, just desktop profiles of all the places you want to go and can't because you're stuck at work at 4:45 waiting for the 5 o'clock thing.
Sure.
You know, and that's very much a high compliment because when they do those, they do them with all of the places you dream of going. And this is definitely one of them. So I actually think that this might work better more as like almost a panorama crop, taking out some of the sky. There's so much negative space in the sky that I think it kind of minimizes the grandeur of the mountains a little bit.
I tried that, in editing, and I'll show you my effort on that later at some point. But
Okay.
I found, like, I cut it down basically right across here, and I found that whenever I did, it took taking this blue out of the
Mm-hmm.
image really, really dulled the image down a lot, because you ended up with just, I mean, you had the fog in the bottom and then what was basically straight clouds across the top, and it made it look very depressing.
Hmm.
At least I saw it that way.
Okay. I'd like to see both. I'd like
Sure,
to see you crop
sure.
it and see them because I feel the need to argue with you about that point, but you might not be wrong.
Sure.
But I do think, and you may be right, like it may change the mood of the image. I just feel like the clouds are so expansive and they're taking up almost 2/3 of the image that the mountains almost seem secondary to them as to who's the star of the image.
Sure.
Um, but again, I'm nitpicking. I do really like this image as a whole. I'm gonna give you another exemplary because I definitely think it's one of the better ones in your portfolio right now. And really, I'm always measuring you against yourself.
Sure.
So, yeah, good
Awesome.
job.
Ready to
All
move on?
right, finish strong.
All right.
Did we do this one last one too?
We did.
Okay.
If I misunderstood the rules, we can.
No, no, we're good. Keep going.
This one was the one I was telling you. I was driving home. I was in I think it was in Wyoming whenever I took this, and the sun was starting to set. And as I was driving, I kept thinking, "Oh man, if I could just find a place where I could get the sun in between a couple mesas or hills, and really that'd be so gorgeous." And then I crested over this hill, and there was this. It's like, well, thank you. So, I got out of my Jeep really quick and I ran across the road and almost got hit by a truck doing it, so I could shoot this image. And whenever I did, like the way that I see this image, I see it as like there's a big eye. Like you have the bottom of the eye and over the top of it and right across the eyelid through the middle, and the sun itself is the middle of the eye. And I see it like the Earth like is going to bed, like it's nighttime and everything's going to sleep.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, this moment kind of resonated with me pretty hard for the rest of the drive.
Well, I loved this image before and I still love it. It's like a mixture of like golden butter. Um, it is. It's just beautiful and I love the texture of it. The the hills and the landscape of it bother me just a little bit because I almost want to squint to see because there's just enough lightness that you can sort of see the details, but you can't because they're so dark. So it's almost a silhouette. It's like, you know, either you got the exposure off and it was supposed to be completely black, or you got the exposure off and didn't have enough light to actually bring in a lot of the texture and the details of the land. So that bothers me a little bit. You do have this perfect eye shape going on, and you're drawn right into the center of it. And I do think it's really beautiful with the combination of the textures and the colors. It's just very, very rich. And again, something that you want to stand there and witness. It's the kind of image that says, "Wish you were here," and you go, "Ah, me too." Which is what you're looking for with the viewer, is that kind of reaction. So I really like this image, but I think alongside some of the other things that I've seen you post, I don't know that this one would make your final portfolio with me. It's right on the edge, but I think that some of your other work is stronger. So I'm going to give it a very high 2, like a 2.8, but you only get 2 for it.
Oh, I was going to put 2.8.
So I do think it's a commendable image, but I don't think it's your best work.
Fair enough.
All right. So you can turn off the screen share, and then I'm going to grill you on all that you've learned and where you plan on going.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Screen share should be off.
Yes. So Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. We were kind of getting into that in the conversation. What's going on with you and your path right now?
Oh my goodness. So many things. Always trying to figure out what I'm doing. Um, I am currently in the process of trying to get sponsorship for a round the world trip for basically I just wanted a big photo walk around the world. But I've got quite a few things lined up for it. And I'm trying to find the file here because I was writing out a proposal, and in the proposal I wrote down the order of all the places I want to go. So I've got a list.
Awesome.
In here. But it's huge. It's just a giant list that I'm sure will scare off any potential investor because they'll be like, I'm not paying for that. You're out of your mind. But they don't realize that I travel extremely light and extremely cheap. Let's see. But yeah, I've got a couple pretty big companies lined up that are willing to at least hear me out.
That's good. That's half the battle right there, is just getting in front of them. If you can do that, you're the kind of person that I think can sell yourself once you're in the room. It's just getting them to open the door.
Yeah. Usually when I sell myself, it's on a street corner, but yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Oh, you're not getting in the door.
All right, so yeah, I've got my list of countries up here, and it's substantial, so I'm not going to read off the whole thing. But I am going to be starting in Mexico. There's a road race that goes through Mexico that I'm going to be one of the staff photographers for next year. I was supposed to go this year, but stuff came up with the travel and my finances and just a bunch of weird hurdles. But I'm still lined up to go next year. That road race is actually happening right now as we speak. You can actually go. I can send anyone a link to see the website or whatever. But from Mexico, I'm heading south through South America, Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands, Machu Picchu are all on the list. When I get all the way to the bottom, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, like to Antarctica and up to Australia, up the other side. Then from there, do a whole thing in the South Pacific, up to Thailand, then hiking to India, flying to Egypt, boating up to Greece, and then Italy, then hiking across Europe. Once I get to the Scandinavian countries, once I get over to Iceland, flying back over the top to Alaska and back down. And basically shooting like 1,000 pictures an hour the whole time I'm out.
I thought you said this was going to be like an ambitious project.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot of there are a lot of images that I have to take while I'm out. Like there's my big opus story. This is going to put me in the right place to take a lot of those images. So there is that.
What is the opus story?
That's my gallery that's going to be telling the story about how we as humans have mucked up the Earth and how we need to just stop, and that 100,000 years from now, we're not going to be here and Earth is going to be doing just fine. So we should stop thinking that we're on top of everything and kind of work more with what we have available. So I'm going to be shooting a lot of images that are things that were at their time the greatest, most grand thing in human existence. Like the Orpheum Theater and these amusement parks and these just giant monumental buildings. And but these buildings are also all going to be completely taken by nature. And there's going to be a lot of really eerie images of like at Chernobyl where there's like trees growing through it, things of that nature. I'm in the middle of getting my scuba certification, so I can do like yachts underwater. Like that, someone paid millions of dollars for this thing within the past 5 years, and here it is covered in coral. So just things of that nature, things that are proof that we need to stop thinking we're on top.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so why this project?
Because it makes sense, and because not enough people seem to realize the extent of it. Everyone wants to, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, there's all these problems in the world, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep living my life and not worry about it. But if we can get some, really high quality images that are really like professional gallery, quality images that show this is how bad it's gotten, and just put it in people's face, then maybe it'll make a difference. Maybe not, but maybe.
And what is the difference it should be making?
That people will stop messing up the earth. That people will realize that they need to be more humbled to what we are.
Be more humbled to what we are. There is your mission statement for this project. And then some. I mean it, like there's the tagline on your proposal. Be more humble to what we are. I think the scale of your images, and like the image, even when you're not talking about the destruction that we cause, like just the image of the climber on the ice things, be more humbled to what we are. I totally see that in that image. I see it in the image of the eagle. I see it in the scale of the mountains and how small they look and how small and minuscule that makes us by comparison. That's a really strong message that I think will resonate much deeper than, hey, don't litter and destroy Mother Earth. It invokes a deeper sense of what I think that we all sort of struggle with at times, and that may be a lot of why we try to be on top of things and why we try to prove that we're this, superior race and we've taken over, is because really when you get down to it, for all of the things that we create and all of these great monuments that we build, from pyramids to skyscrapers, and all of the advancements that we have over every other species, we still feel so insignificant most of the time. And that really sinks down onto an individual scale of whatever we're creating in our lives. Like, you look at people that you go, oh my God, they have everything. They're celebrities, they're millionaires, they have the love of everyone in the world, more money than they know what to do with. And what did they do? We lost Robin Williams this year, one of the funniest, most amazing entertainers, that we have. And he still felt so insignificant and small. And I think that we all deal with that at times. So when you stack that up against the monumental size of the world and the grandeur of it, we're nothing. If you can create that message in your images, and that image, that potency in your proposal, I don't see any of your sponsors not signing with you. And I don't see people not paying attention to everything you're doing. Because the thing with sponsors is that it's a cycle, symbiotic relationship. They want to sponsor people that have the following, and having the sponsors helps gain you the following. So you're kind of caught in this, catch-22. So even before you start this, I would definitely be looking at. Do you have a blog already, or what are you planning on?
Very recently started one. Yeah, I've started using my Twitter account a little bit more. I set up a Facebook for just my photography, and everything I post to that page automatically posts to my Twitter page. So I'm trying to keep posting images and keep that rolling to get more followers and kind of use that to my advantage. But I'll be the first to admit I'm definitely late on jumping on the internet bandwagon. So I'm hoping that something will pick up. Whatever, it'll go as it goes, but we'll see.
What's your favorite platform online right now?
What do you mean?
Like, for me, it's Facebook. I'm a Facebook whore through and through. I got Google just so I could hang out with you guys. I can't do Twitter because I'm a woman in Italian, and 140 characters is just not a possibility for me. So, Facebook is my thing.
Facebook works for me just from all my travels. It's the easiest way for me to stay in touch with all my friends that I've met, around the world. So I use Facebook pretty regularly.
Okay. So is blogging something that's going to come naturally to you, or is that a chore for you to keep up?
I think it will be a chore until I've done it a few times. Like it's still new enough to me that whenever I do it, I feel like I'm, oh man, why am I doing this? Is this really going to work? And whatever, I'll do it because everyone says do it, you know. And I think after
That's a
time,
terrible reason to do it.
well, no, for sure, for sure. But I think if and when I start seeing some results for it, any result at all, even like one random follower that wasn't a friend of mine that I invited to the page, then I'll start being like, okay, well, this makes sense, you know, and then it'll be not a big deal at all.
Okay. Well, think that I think you can definitely try it, but I think that if you find that it's not resonating with you or you're not wanting to do it, it's fine to drop it. You can absolutely run it off of the Facebook page. Um, I would um, I would actually wager that that might work better for you because it's more organic and it'll reach more people naturally because Facebook is a social media platform where your blog, it's very, very unlikely, no matter how beautiful the images are, that people are going to share them to the same extent that they will on social media. So I would actually venture to say that probably Facebook and Pinterest would be your two best avenues with that, especially because and Instagram too, because you can share to all of the sites at once. So it would be really interesting to do a blog in a very unconventional way. Where are you on Instagram?
No, no, I'm not.
Oh,
Like I said, I'm very behind the curve on all that stuff.
okay. Are you planning on taking a cell phone with you while you're on this journey?
You know, that's really hit and miss. The most of the places that I go aren't going to have internet or phone service, so having a phone is not even really going to be necessarily a functional device for me,
Okay.
and you know, for weeks or potentially even months at a time. So I'm thinking taking one of the personal locator beacons. So if there's a problem, I hit a button and get a helicopter rescue. But aside from
That's a good
that,
idea.
you know that and a flare gun, and I should be all right. But you know, I can't really message my mom with a flare gun.
Well, I like the idea. You know what Instagram is, though, right?
Yeah,
Like it's okay. Okay, so I love the idea of you being able to sort of update in real time with just, beautiful gallery images coming, in high res with all of my amazing artistry intact. But for now, see this behind the scenes. Here I am, in Mexico, in Antarctica, and I totally get that you won't be able to do it all the time, but it's one of those things that you can take them and keep them in queue for when you do have access to, cell or Wi-Fi, where it would just be a behind the scenes. I think that you would build a following really, really fast via Instagram. And the nice thing about Instagram is that you can just click share and it'll send to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Tumblr, and your Flickr all at once. So it's one post and it's going out to all of those at once, which just maximizes your proficiency there. But the thing is that people like being connected on personal levels. They love following the people that they admire because it's a lot more personal when there's that personal connection. Like I have people that have hired me this year solely because they're moved by the fact that my kids use a whiteboard to write letters to their dad in Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with my photography. It has nothing to do with anything that I've accomplished as an artist or teacher or writer. It's just that resonates with them on that level. And then it's, hey, by the way, do you do this? So I think it would be the same for you. And I think that you have a very strong and unique voice to be able to go, here I am at this moment right here in real time. This is what I'm thinking and feeling, seeing all of this, and that invites everybody else to experience it with you on a deeper level than just seeing the image. That's really powerful. If Instagram isn't going to work for you, I think Instagram's really easy for that, but I definitely think that there's going to be some level of importance to having a tablet or your laptop or something at easy access. I like the phone because it's always in my back pocket and I'm not jumbling around with equipment, and I know you like to travel light too.
Well,
Um,
the one of the larger pieces of gear that I'm going to take with me, I have a meeting relatively soon with Panasonic for a chance at taking one of their, the laptops that they have in police cars?
yeah.
To have a chance to take something like that, that's super durable, basically a bulletproof, waterproof laptop. So whenever I'm out, it's like, okay, well, here I am, I'm in a rainforest and I'm going through all this stuff. And by the way, I dropped this off a cliff yesterday, but thank God it still works.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I totally approve of that. But I would like to see something that you have access to the same way. Like that's the appeal of like, and the downfall of us all with things like Facebook and Twitter is that all we had to do is pull out our phones and update. So
Sure.
A lot of times when we have a strong emotional reaction to something positive or negative, we just, every time that you've ever felt like, I have to share this with somebody, but nobody's here, like we don't have that problem anymore because we
Right.
just hop on our Facebook and we go, oh my God, this is the best coffee ever, or it's, oh my God, I just became an aunt, or it's, oh my God, you ripped my heart out, you fucking jerk. And like, but it's all this emotional reaction that we're sharing with the world because we want other people to connect with us, because it makes, again, it gets back to that feeling of how small we are in comparison, and that just helps close the gaps between us and the rest of the world. So I think it will be really powerful for you on this trip, and it's something that I would definitely be interested in following, to see you feeling and experiencing these things in real time and connecting with us about that as it's happening, rather than reflecting on it in hindsight, because there's something just more potent and raw about that I think that you specifically as an artist would do really well with, because I think that you have important things to say. So tell me about your proposal. How's that going?
The meeting got rescheduled, so that's probably in my best interest. The proposal, I like to take pictures. I'm not good at the whole writing things with words part. So I mean, it's coming along, but there are a lot of things I need to do different, and I know I'm going to have to rewrite it like 100 times before I'm ready to actually, send it out there to anybody. So I've got time. So I've been working on it little by little, and day by day. Like it's actually made me put down a list of the countries I plan on going, which up until last week I didn't even have. It was just like, well, I'm going to go, and wherever I feel like going, well, that's where I'll go.
Right.
But I figured I needed some level of, hey, these are the places I'm going, and I need funding, so I kind of had to have something in writing, So.
I think if I was a potential investor, if you were coming to me, having the list of places is good. I would also have a list of why they're important, and how they fit into the project as a whole. And I would also do some research as to where you're staying and what you're doing and how much it's going to cost. Are you asking these companies to just invest money, or is it like a product thing? Like, what are you looking for?
So far, it's just been merchandise. Panasonic for the laptop. There's a company that has already agreed to work with me, 5ls.net. They do extremely high-end camping gear with like sleeping bags that are built into tents, and they all pack in really, really small. So whenever you're hiking, it's a lot less gear to carry. The really big one that I have kind of on the line right now is Eddie Bauer.
Okay.
Eddie Bauer is potentially going to be investing enough gear to get me on my trip everything I need.
Okay.
And everything that they don't get me, the Boy Scouts of America might be, because I'm an Eagle Scout also when I already
Nice.
as a kid. So it's like, hey, I'm an Eagle Scout and I want to go on this trip, and I'll advertise for you guys, and I'll make these videos on how to go through and become an Eagle Scout while I'm out. And like, yeah, that's a great idea. Keep us up to date. So,
Nice.
so I'm reasonably certain I've got my gear covered. Now it's just travel and accommodations. But accommodations are all going to be through Wolf Farming and CouchCrash.org. So I'm going to be working, at various places around the world and stay in there. And if there's no place to stay, I'll just camp. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just the travel itself that's the hard part. It's the airfare from places where it's not possible to hike.
Yeah.
So
you're going to have really amazing miles.
Well, I know that it's going to be really hard to hike from like Peru to Antarctica. That's a tough walk. So I'm probably going to skip that one and just fly. But and the whole reason I'm flying to Egypt instead of hiking all the way into Europe is because of all the unrest in the Middle East and all the stuff going on with the Ukraine and all that. It just as I get closer to the trip, the political tides might have shifted too, and like the Ebola scare in Africa and all that. There might be places I avoid that are tentatively on my list just for my own safety. So that's why I'm kind of afraid to write stuff down and tell people, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and then I get there, it's like, hey, I'm not doing it.
I don't see that as a problem though, because that'll become part of the story. Like essentially what you're doing is you're becoming the hero of your own story, and people want to follow the hero on their journey. So it's actually going to be more potent and stronger, I think, for people to see a little bit of the struggle and understand why you're not doing certain things, especially because these things are current events that are affecting our world right now. So coming up to the brink and going, this is the only photo you get from across the border because I can't cross over here because of this illness and famine or social unrest or religious struggle or political game, or it's a really far freaking walk and you wouldn't want to do it either, and here's a picture of the beginning of the journey. That's the easy part. And so I'll be taking a plane. Those are all good things, and things that other people that want to be world traveled may come across and go, no, because if that guy couldn't do it, I'm not doing it, because he's couch crashing. And I'm sorry, there isn't a Ritz up in Antarctica. No, it's not going to work for me. So I think that that's all just going to be part of your story. It's okay for it to shift and adapt, and I think that's very metaphoric for life too. Like, how far is every single one of us from where we thought we were ending up?
Sure.
Which doesn't mean that we're not exactly on the path that we're supposed to be on.
Right.
So here's what I think you should do. I think you should finish the proposal. I would really love you to send that to me, because I would like to look it over and give you some feedback on that as well. I think that Pinterest is going to be a really strong point for you as far as sharing out to the world. The reshare factor of that, and how many people have places I want to go boards and amazing things. I think that'll help build you a lot of notoriety. I think Facebook will be a really good one for you, again, for the sharing aspect and the social community of it. Have you considered maybe crowdfunding this campaign?
I have. I wanted to see what kind of stuff I would find from actual sponsorship first. Not that I don't know. That's kind of my own little sticking point. I'd rather a major Fortune 500 company pay my trip than some Joe Schmo that has $20 that thinks it would be neat. The company can afford it a lot easier, so I'd rather they pay for it. So if I get to a point where I think I've reached the limit on my sponsorships and I'm not quite hitting my mark, I'll know how close I am to my mark, and then I'll just do a Kickstarter for the remainder, something like that. But again, I'd rather take it from a big company than from an average citizen.
Why?
Because I have a real... It's like the whole point to my whole story is how much I hate how big we think we are, and these big companies deserve to be taken down a notch. Let them pay me to go on the trip.
I would not recommend writing that into your proposal as why you're going to them.
It was strictly between you and I and everyone that watches this video. That was not to be written.
Did I mention that this was one I shared publicly for everyone to see?
Hey, fair enough.
Awesome. You're right. They have a lot of money and they get a lot of write-offs for doing stuff like this, and it benefits them. I'm all about it, but at the same time, I think that there's there's something very strong in the connection that people have when they feel like they have invested in the success of a venture. And again, the same thing, we're following the hero on his tour around the world. Like, I would figure out what you want your budget to be. And, there's nothing that says that these companies can't donate to the cause as well. But, that might be the difference between you walking or taking a plane, or you camping, or going, I could really use a bath and a good hotel room and a good night's sleep tonight. With the books, when I wanted to do the hardcover, I raised close to $7,000 in like 6 days. It was pretty quick. And I don't sell very often, so it was really humbling for me to see that when I finally went out and went, I really want to do this hardcover book the way that I designed it, but I'm not going to do it unless you guys want it. People jumped on it and met and exceeded it. I think you would be surprised by the amount of support that you would get. And even if you get the money from these companies, allowing other people to invest in you when people are invested in what they invest in. So
Sure.
When they put money towards that success, they're going to be more connected and feel like they have a stake in your success or your failure. That can be really strong and powerful too. So it might be the kind of thing that you go to the companies for funding right now, and partway through your journey, as you start to build up the readership, you go, listen, I'd really like to extend this and hit these countries as well, or photograph these things. And there's a lot of different ways that you can really include the people that want to follow you, because most of us, 98% of us, will never get to do what you're about to do. I think it's very brave, and I think it's very indicative of who you are as an artist, and knowing your message and what you have to say. And that's really strong, and that's one of the hardest things for people to center on when they are an artist, is what is it that I actually have to say? What is it that I'm going to put out into the world when the world is finally listening? And I think that you have that already. So that's most of the battle. And I would like to see everybody else be able to be part of that with you. So there's little things like, you remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books when we were little?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the best. I always died, like, third choice.
Of course you did, and I would expect nothing less. So I think that you shouldn't leave your fate in your own hands then, being that you obviously don't make good life choices.
Maybe this whole trip is a bad idea.
But I think it would be really cool for you to maybe set up this entire thing as sort of a choose your own adventure thing for your following. Like, when you get to the crossroads, are you going to this country or are you going to this country? Are you taking this path or are you going here? Like,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be really cool, and I think it would build the following really fast, where I could totally see people like getting into heated arguments about why you should do A and not B. Oh, well, we're taking this path, because you could do that as simple as, do we take the scenic route for everyone down, along the line of the Grand Canyon, or are we going straight down to the bottom of the cliff and freaking, like rock climbing our way down? Yeah, like, exactly. And people will go back and forth. They're like, you see those posts all the time where it's like, there's the people in the hammocks, like, across a canyon where they're like 800 feet in the air, like, tied together, and you're like, that looks so cool. I would never do it, but that looks so cool, but I would never do. What happens if they have to pee? Like, people get like really upset about stuff like this, And you have the kind of personality that would just be addictive for them, I think, to do that. They would be like, what's he up to? And that's where social media would come in. Like, people would be checking their phones and subscribing to the mailing list just to see, well, did he make it? Did he get to the top of the cliff? What happened with that ostrich that was chasing him? Like, there's going to be stories like that.
I think you have just created my second trip. Like, after the first one, after the big one where I tell this whole story, because I want to do that. Like, I've got my message. There are places I need to go. But after that, when I have a following and people, I think I am going to set up a choose your own adventure, just a book, and it'll be written as a book when I'm done.
Right. And it's awesome. And we're all going to feel really bad if we kill you after the third choice, but it's okay because we're safe here.
For a short time. But yeah, I could even have like the polls on Google. Bring up a poll and be like, do I go to this place or this place? You've got 2 days to vote. I'm going to be camping until you figure it out. And then come back and check it out and be like, well, it looks like I'm going to Belize now.
Yep.
That is amazing, Jess. That is probably the single greatest idea ever.
You know what? And like how you're reacting to it right now, that's exactly how you should feel about every project that you're doing. Like this kind of hype, I can do this all freaking day long and get excited with you about this stuff. And when you do, it just hypes everyone else up. And the thing is that there's other people that are tuning in going, that's a fucking great idea. Like, oh my God, how can I do that with mine? Like now I'm wondering if I can do a choose your own adventure, but all with girls in lingerie. Like, the redhead or the brunette. Yes. Yeah. Let's combine. We'll do both. Yes. It's but yeah, like there's unlimited possibilities for you to just get creative with it. The more that you tie people into it, when they feel like they have a stake in it, that's when you'll build the really avid fans. And the more avid fans you have, the more you reach out to, and really like expel out to greater numbers. That's when you'll start to see it snowball with your following, and that's when companies will start approaching you and going, hey, we see you're doing this. How would you like one of our new bags and, our binoculars and our soup and, because of a branding thing. And then it's just less that you have to invest in, and I could totally see other people coming across and going, hey, we see this amazing tour. We see that our city's next on your list. Would you like to come stay in our hotel? Because they know you're going to be blogging from it and updating. It's going to say, David is here. Yeah. Right. So your homework is to finish up your proposal and send me it so I can give you some feedback. Keep in mind that everything sells because of the images. So better, I think, to put some of your work in and have less words. Less is more, because the same way that we design our websites, and I'm always jumping on everyone about having too much information and closing down the conversation before it starts. If you give them all the answers, they won't talk to you about any of the questions. And I very, very much think that your personality and your vision is what's going to sell it. I would like to see you get in front of them. The proposal should be secondary.
Okay.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns?
None. My mind's still reeling about this choose your own adventure trip.
Amazing. So did you see level? Did you see Tom's critique earlier today?
I did not. I wasn't around.
Okay. So here's what we're doing. I'm completely breaking tradition until one of the headmasters catches me and tells me I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not doing levels 11 through 20 the way that they're designed for everybody together. I'm custom designing them for each student because I feel like the first levels were the foundation levels and we all grew up the trunk together. It's time to branch off. So since you are on board for this project, your levels 11 to 20, I think, are going to be the first couple of levels with building this proposal for this trip you're doing, and then building a choose your own adventure trip. Because I think it's an epic idea.
I mean, that statement right there chooses the entire trip already. It's everyone else is choosing for me. I don't have to do any planning. I just go. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool, and I would love to see you run with it because I think you would just kill that idea. I absolutely will too. Oh my gosh, I will. That's gonna be awesome.
So, but you get to put input in. So let's talk about 11 through 20 because you're getting ready to be number 2 to cross the threshold, and it's always better the second time around. So what would you like to see, and where are you going on your path now for the second half of your time with me?
Well, like I've said to everything, man, I'm just in it for the ride. I didn't know what to expect in the first 10. So what to expect in the next, whatever happens, it is what it is. if you want it to be more geared towards prepping me on my shoot around the world, that stuff, well, that's fine. That would help give me guidance on that. If you want it to be an area of photography I'm not very good at to kind of increase my skill set, that's fine too. Whatever. I mean, I'm laid back. Whatever.
I know you're definitely laid back, but I think that part of mastery is also sort of taking charge of your own destiny, which obviously, after talking about this trip, you have no problem doing. So really, like, if you were to leave at level 20 and not be part of the Arcanum anymore, what would you like to have seen yourself accomplished, or what would you like to see yourself prepared to go do?
That's a much more in-depth question, isn't it?
Wow.
I can't just blow that one off with I'm laid back and I don't want to worry about it. I have to actually answer that one. I have given a lot of thought into, like, as if I become a master, myself, and how I would run my own cohort.
You would run it as a choose your own adventure.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I realized that I think I would probably have like some kind of a safari theme to everything, and everything would be geared towards getting out and making people break their habits and go shoot and get. That's great. You want to chat on Facebook or whatever right now. Now pick up your camera and go outside. It's something like that. And I sometimes need someone to kind of kick me in the pants every now and then and tell me to do that. So if there were assignments that you had to that actually made me go shoot, that would be probably beneficial for me and get me out of the stupid chair that I'm in right now, because I'm in it too much.
Okay.
But really, I know that I need a lot of help editing. I'm only average when it comes to editing. My post work is not that great. Okay. Most of the images that I've put up here have as little editing as possible. Like, I might crop and realign, but I try not to touch color. I try not for anything, because I'm probably going to mess it up.
Okay. The library definitely has some good retouching tutorials and videos for you to touch base with too. But I'd like to see, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a post at level 11 or level 10 for you guys to really kind of hone in on what you want to focus on as far as learning and what you're looking to get out of it. So we can definitely list those things there. And you and I can definitely set up a time to sit down and we can throw some, I guess we'll let some other people come in too, it's like an orgy, the more the merrier. But so we can sit down and we can go over some retouching and some of the other apprentices, both in Ignis and in Tableau Vivant, some of them are really incredible with the retouching, and they would probably have some really good things to add in too. So maybe we'll do like a round table where everybody teaches like 1 or 2 tricks. I think that'd be really fun. We can definitely build it more around shoots if you want. Like, you kind of have a pretty good feel for your project and what you're doing. So if you would like more shooting assignments, we can work on that. I think it would be really helpful for you to decide where it is that you want your focus to be. Because you said that, having something alive in your images makes for it to be more potent. So it might be that. Like, if you want to get more into portraiture to understand it better, I think that's fine. I think growth in any area is growth as an artist. I think your potency lies in your landscape and your wildlife. So okay. It's up to you if you want to continue to hone those skills and go from being a great photographer to being an exceptional photographer, or if you want to look at the other things that don't come as naturally so that you can say, no, I can do it all really well, which everyone likes to hear. So so think about that a little bit, and let's talk about that. As far as you being a teacher and a master at the Arcanum, I have a love-hate relationship with you with that. Because I think that you would be really...
I'm a lot of lady.
I think that you would be brilliant as a teacher because I think that you're very motivating and I think that you have a lot of energy and I think that you're a lot of fun. And if you can inspire and make people feel that they want to learn, that's almost more important than having the information for them. You know, they get information from sources all day long. They get it from reading, they get it from watching videos, they get it from their teachers at the Arcanum, they get it, you know, just constant influx. Like we're just in an information stage where it's just in and out and in and out. Being able to inspire them to actually implement what they've learned is much more difficult and rare. And those have always been my favorite mentors with people that I've studied under. And I think you have the potential to do that. So I am only picking 5 people to move into the master candidacy program. I would love it for you to be one. You have to earn your place there. So since you have now crossed level 9 and survived, level 10 is pretty much a freebie level that it doesn't have an actual leveling up criteria. But if you would like to be considered for the program, I would like you to write another proposal while you're in that mode about why you would like to be a master and what you think you would bring and what would make your cohort unique and what you've learned from the apprentice side about being a master. Make it good, make it impressive, make me want you.
I thought I already did that. Oh,
so yeah, do that, and then I'm gonna pick a couple people as they cross the threshold, and then the people that we select are gonna be studying under me as potential masters for a couple of levels, and then you'll actually get dropped into the candidacy program to study. And I think that it would be really amazing. I don't know if it's feasible, but I think it'd be really amazing for you to be able to be a master while you're actually on this trip going around the world, and every time you're updating, you're from somewhere else. For people to be able to follow you, I would want to be a student in that. I don't even shoot landscape.
It'll happen. You'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Like let's talk about that. So. Okay. Woo, you survived. How you feeling?
I feel great. Like I said, I'm good all night.
Good. That's what they all say. I'm not. I'm spent. You've exhausted me. But cheers to surviving level 9. I will see you again at level 14. And as always, you were wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am.
See ya.